A big part of my burnout recovery wasn't taking time off. It wasn't about finding a better productivity system, and it wasn't about changing jobs. The hardest part by far was detaching my identity from work. For years, my sense of progress, competence, and self-worth was completely tied to my career. When work was going well, I felt good about myself. When it wasn't, I questioned not just my job, but myself. Recovering from that mindset took years. I spent a lot of that time consuming videos, books, ideas, anything that had to do with purpose, motivation, and self-discovery. And some of those ideas helped me rebuild how I thought about work from the ground up. So if you're going through burnout or career confusion or just wondering if the path you're on is still right for you, here are some lessons that I want to share with you that helped me accelerate my own recovery. Stop upskilling just to stay relevant at work. Learn because you actually intend to apply it, or because you're solving a problem that you genuinely care about. I felt the effects of this reframe firsthand. For instance, I was never energized by learning AI just to check a box at work. Learning it because I should never felt great. But once I started using AI to create content outside my job, to talk about things that I really care about, I ended up learning far more about it than I did trying to stay relevant at work. The moment you start learning purely to satisfy someone else's expectations, you can start to quietly resent the process without even realizing it. The process of learning feels energizing when it's connected to a purpose, and it feels exhausting when it's connected to fear. Realize corporate is a game, and not everyone has to play it. This doesn't mean that the game is bad, and it doesn't mean that the people playing it are wrong. It simply means that it's one path among many, not the only one. I found that a lot of my stress came from forcing myself to keep wanting something that I didn't want anymore. And I had to be honest with myself about it. And here's the other thing. You can't fully recover from a system that you're still emotionally attached to. Around this time of realization, I also started being consistent with fitness. I never really planned to turn it into a career move, but just knowing that I had that option in my back pocket, that I could combine it with content if I ever wanted to, changed something for me. The moment I actually accepted that corporate success wasn't my only option, I stopped feeling trapped by it. Stop over-identifying with your performance. So if you're at a stage where you've realized that corporate's probably not for you, then your performance inside a system that you no longer care about shouldn't define your self-worth. Your salary is not your identity, and your ability to success in an environment you no longer believe in should definitely not be the verdict on who you are as a person. And here's how I saw this play out in my own career. Every company I worked for gave me the same rating for the first few years, even when I knew I was doing more than the people around me. Then one year, without putting in any noticeably better effort, I got the highest rating I'd ever received. And that's when it clicked. This was never purely a merit thing. A lot of it is just about the time you spend in a company and how your trust and work and results compound over time. So if you're struggling with work, it doesn't automatically mean that you're falling behind. Sometimes it can just mean that you've outgrown the nature of the contest. Seriously, sit with that for a second. Put your health before your ambition. For a long time, I thought reaching career success would give me room to focus on my health. Like I'd have the money and the freedom, and then finally I'd get to it. Turns out that's actually backwards. Your health creates the foundation for everything else. When you consistently exercise, sleep properly, and voluntarily do hard things, you build resilience. You learn about discipline, and that in turn helps build confidence. And somewhere along the way, you become the kind of person with range, depth, and real options. And it's not because you went chasing options just for the sake of it, but because you became capable enough to create them for yourself. And just like my earlier example, once I started focusing on fitness, I realized I had more options than I thought of. And I could also transfer the learnings from showing up at the gym when I didn't feel like to all other areas of my life. Now, the last one's a super important one. Stop comparing yourself to people who are still playing the game. This one actually took me the longest to embody. If you have personally come to a conclusion that corporate isn't for you and that you want to turn your focus elsewhere, then you have to stop measuring yourself against people who are still climbing the ladder. Their incentives, environment, and goals are probably different. And their definition of success is also probably very different from yours. And if they're playing by a different scoreboard, there are going to be different rules. Well, comparison is not great to begin with, but if you're going to compare, it only works when you're playing the same game. Otherwise, you're just judging your progress against a scoreboard that was never even designed for you in the first place. So once I started realizing that there were many other paths and options outside my job for me to continue learning and gaining new skills, I made the decision to stop comparing myself against people who are still climbing the ladder. Turning off LinkedIn was one of the best decisions that I made in this phase. And so that kind of helped me distance myself and detach from a competition that I had decided wasn't for me. And all of these changes and reframes don't happen overnight. It was less of a sudden breakthrough and more of a slow rebuilding process through consistent action. And one of the best ways to rebuild yourself is through finding a passion outside of work. For me, that was two things. One was setting a body recomposition goal for myself. That gave me a physical challenge to focus on. And the next was content creation, which essentially became my creative outlet. Everything I shared in this video is about making a gradual separation between who you are and what you do. And once that separation actually starts happening, you stop asking whether you're successful enough on paper and you start asking whether the life you're living is even aligned with the definition of success that you have for yourself. And that's where all change begins. I hope this helps. If you enjoyed this video, hit like, share it with a friend who might need to hear it, and subscribe to my channel for more. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.